April 7th, 2022. 12:25 p.m. A 911 call, screaming in the background, then click. The line goes dead. Police race to the house in Copperas Cove, Texas. An officer arrives in minutes. He knocks on the door. From inside, a male voice says one word. Wait. Wait. As if police should give him time. As if what he's doing needs a few more seconds. The officer hears screaming. He kicks the door open. Bang. 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 Gunshots. Multiple gunshots. Happening as the door flies open. The officer sees a woman lying motionless near the front door. A man lying in the living room. Both shot. And then the officer feels pain in his own leg. He's been hit too. Shrapnel or a bullet. He doesn't know yet. This is the story of Destiney Carey, a 3-year-old mother of 6 children, a nurse, a business owner with 2 thriving boutiques about to open a third in Dallas. A woman whose success made her husband so jealous, he shot her to death while police were kicking in the door. Disclaimer. This story contains descriptions of domestic violence and murder. We tell Destiney's story to honor her memory and show how success can make you a target in an abusive relationship. Destiney Jasmine Carey, though she also went by Destiney Cannon, was 33 years old and building an empire. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. A mother to 6 children, Destiney worked as a nurse in Georgetown, Texas, providing medical care and compassion to patients who needed it. But nursing was just one part of her hustle. Destiney was an entrepreneur. She owned High Saturday Boutique in Killeen, Texas, a clothing and shoe store located at 1103 West Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Suite 105. The boutique showcased trendy fashion, beautiful designs, and pieces that Destiney herself often modeled. She wasn't just a store owner sitting behind a register. Destiney was the face of her brand. She'd go live on Facebook, showing off new inventory, modeling outfits, laughing with customers, building a community around her business. Her 8-year-old daughter, Destiney Cannon, would later tell reporters, "My mom was a hard-working woman who took care of all 6 of us. She was a nurse, and she had 2 businesses in Killeen and was getting ready to set up a 3rd location in Dallas." Read that again. 2 businesses running, a 3rd location opening in Dallas, while working as a nurse, while raising 6 children. Destiney Carey was not playing around. She was grinding, building generational wealth, creating opportunities, setting an example for her daughters and sons that you can come from nothing and build something. Desiree also said, "My mom just always wanted to be happy. She was always a fun person to be around. Her laugh just lit up the room. She was everything. Her laugh lit up the room." That's how people will remember Destiney: joyful, full of life, someone who made every space better just by being in it. Destiney's sister, Demetria Fifi, who lived in Georgia, remembered talking to Destiney constantly. They were close. They supported each other. They celebrated each other's wins. And Destiney had a lot of wins to celebrate. Her businesses were growing. Her children were thriving. Her nursing career was stable. She was winning. But there was one person who couldn't handle Destiney's success. Her husband, Kevin Frazier. Kevin Frazier was 37 years old, 4 years older than Destiney. He was a U.S. Army veteran who'd served from July 2004 to April 2016, achieving the rank of Staff Sergeant. According to Army Human Resources Command at Fort Knox, Kentucky, Frazier served on 2 deployments and received numerous awards. On paper, Kevin looked good. Military service, honorable career, a veteran who'd served his country. But Kevin had a history that told a different story. According to data from Killeen Police Department, Frazier was arrested by Killeen Police on multiple occasions, all in 2010. Killeen Police arrested Frazier in September 2010 on suspicion of assault with bodily injury. They also arrested him in October and November on suspicion of violations of a magistrate's order and a court order, respectively. September 2010. Assault with bodily injury. Who did he assault? The records don't specify, but given the timing October and November arrests for violating protective orders, it's likely he assaulted a romantic partner. October and November 2010. Violating court orders. This means a judge told Kevin to stay away from someone, and he didn't. He violated that order, twice. So before Kevin even met Destiney, he'd already shown a pattern. Violence against women, failure to respect boundaries, disregard for court orders meant to protect victims. But Destiney may not have known this history. Or maybe she did, and believed he'd changed. Or maybe Kevin, like so many abusers, was charming enough to make her believe those incidents were misunderstandings, exaggerations, things that happened when he was younger and different. Kevin and Destiney had been together for about 6 years by 2022. They appeared on social media together frequently. Facebook Lives where they talked, laughed, celebrated anniversaries, looked like a happy couple. In one video, Kevin says to the camera while Destiney is beside him, 6 years now, strong. They looked solid. They looked in love. They looked like they were building something together. But behind the smiles and social media posts, something darker was brewing. Kevin was watching Destiney succeed, watching her businesses grow, watching her make money, watching her become independent, and he couldn't handle it. Because for men like Kevin Frazier, a woman's success feels like a threat. If she doesn't need him financially, what's keeping her from leaving? If she's powerful on her own, how can he control her? And control was what Kevin needed. Control was what he'd always needed. And when he felt it slipping away, he responded the only way he knew how, with violence. April 7th, 2022. Thursday. A normal spring day in Copperas Cove, Texas, a small city near Fort Hood, home to about 35,000 people, a mix of military families and civilian residents. We don't know exactly how the morning started for Destiney and Kevin. Were they arguing already? Had something happened the night before? Was this tension that had been building for days, weeks, months? What we do know is that on April 7th, Destiney posted something cryptic on Facebook. One thing I know is that you all need to stop letting people have so much power over you. You should not be on the same subject on day 2. Read that again. Stop letting people have so much power over you. Was Destiney talking about Kevin? Was she reminding herself not to let him control her anymore? Was this her way of preparing to leave? We'll never know for sure. But that post, made hours before her death, suggests Destiney was in a mindset of reclaiming her power, setting boundaries, refusing to be controlled. And for Kevin, that was unacceptable. At 12:25 p.m., just after noon on a Thursday, someone inside the house at 1000 block of Hobby Road in Copperas Cove called 911. According to the arrest affidavit, dispatch advised they could hear screaming in the background prior to the call being disconnected. Someone called for help. Screaming could be heard. Then the call ended abruptly. Who called? Was it Destiney, desperately trying to get help before Kevin could stop her? Was it one of the children who might have been in the house? We don't know. But dispatch heard screaming, and then nothing. Copperas Cove police immediately dispatched an officer to the address. Even though the call had disconnected, protocol required them to respond. A 911 hang-up with screaming in the background is a red flag for domestic violence or a crime in progress. The responding officer arrived at the house on Hobby Road within minutes. He approached the front door and knocked, trying to make contact with whoever was inside. When the officer arrived and attempted to make contact by knocking on the door, the officer heard a male voice telling him to wait. Wait. Think about that. Police are at your door responding to a 911 call with screaming, and you tell them to wait? What was Kevin doing inside that required police to wait? The answer became horrifyingly clear seconds later. The officer continued to knock, and then proceeded to kick the door open when he heard screaming coming from inside the residence. The officer heard more screaming, someone in distress, someone in danger. He couldn't wait. He kicked the door open. And as that door flew open, the officer heard several gunshots coming from inside the residence. Bang, 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 bang. Kevin Frazier was shooting Destiney Carey as the police officer kicked in the door. He knew police were there. He heard the knocking. He told them to wait, and then he shot his wife anyway. The officer observed a woman, identified as Carrie, lying on the ground near the front door, not moving. The officer also saw a man, identified as Frazier, lying on the ground in the living room. Destiney was on the floor near the front entrance, motionless. Kevin was lying on the living room floor, also wounded, though how he got shot remains unclear. Did Destiney have a weapon and shoot back in self-defense? Did Kevin shoot himself? Did the officer fire? Police never specified. But what is clear is this. Destiney Carey was dead or dying, shot multiple times by her husband while a police officer was literally breaking down the door to save her. As the officer processed the scene, a woman down, a man down, gunshots still echoing, he felt something, pain in his left leg. The officer was shot at, and the bullet went through a window attached to the front entrance, police said. The bullet then went through the pants of his left leg, and a glass shard embedded into the officer's leg. Kevin Frazier had shot at the police officer. One of his bullets went through a window near the front door, passed through the officer's pants, and embedded glass shrapnel into his leg. This wasn't just murder. This was attempted murder of a police officer responding to a domestic violence call. Kevin had fired multiple rounds, some at Destiney, at least one toward the door where the officer stood. He was willing to kill anyone in his path, including law enforcement. The officer, despite being injured, didn't retreat. He communicated with Frazier, placed him in handcuffs, and then immediately began attempting life-saving measures on Destiney. The officer communicated with Frazier and placed him in handcuffs and attempted life-saving measures on Carrie until paramedics arrived on scene. Imagine that. You've just been shot at. Your leg is bleeding from embedded glass. A woman is lying motionless on the floor. And you, as an officer, have to secure the shooter and then try to save the victim, all while knowing backup might not arrive for minutes. That officer did his job. He handcuffed Kevin. He tried to save Destiney's life, performing CPR, checking for a pulse, doing everything he could. But the damage was too severe. Paramedics were unable to revive Carrie, who succumbed to her injuries. Destiney Carey was pronounced dead at the scene by Justice of the Peace Bill Price, 33 years old, mother of 6, nurse, business owner, entrepreneur with plans to expand to Dallas. Dead in the entryway of her own home, shot by the man who'd promised to love her for 6 years. As other officers arrived at the scene, they escorted Kevin Frazier out of the residence. Officers observed that he had gunshot wounds to the torso area, according to the affidavit. Copperas Cove police did not specify how Frazier obtained his gunshot wounds. Kevin was wounded, shot in the torso, though whether it was self-inflicted, defensive fire from Destiney, or something else was never clarified publicly. Frazier was transported to Carl R. Darnell Army Medical Center at Fort Hood, where he was treated for his injuries before being taken into custody. While Kevin was in the hospital recovering, detectives began interviewing him. Then they interviewed him again after he was released, and then a third time at Copperas Cove Police Department headquarters, and his story kept changing. Police interviewed Frazier 2 more times after he was taken from the scene, once at the hospital and once at the Copperas Cove Police Department after he was treated and released. Copperas Cove police called his description of events from their multiple interviews with him as inconsistent, the affidavit read. Inconsistent. That's police speak for. This guy is lying, and he keeps changing his story every time we talk to him. What did Kevin say in those interviews? We don't know the specifics, but we can guess. Maybe he claimed self-defense, that Destiney attacked him first. Maybe he said it was an accident, that the gun went off during a struggle. Maybe he tried to paint Destiney as the aggressor, himself as the victim. But the physical evidence told a different story. Kevin's description of the shooting was also inconsistent with the evidence obtained of Destiney's injuries as described by the medical examiner. An autopsy of Destiney's body revealed details about her wounds, how many times she was shot, from what angles, from what distance. And Kevin's story didn't match the evidence. On April 10, 2022, 3 days after the murder, Kevin Frazier was officially arrested and charged. Coryell County Justice of the Peace Bill Price arraigned Frazier on Monday on a charge of murder and a charge of aggravated assault of a public servant. Murder for killing Destiney. Aggravated assault against a public servant for shooting at the police officer. Price set the bond amount at $1 million on the murder charge and $750,000 on the assault charge. $1.75 million total bond. Kevin Frazier would sit in Coryell County Jail awaiting trial, unable to post that kind of money. And in June 2022, a Coryell County grand jury indicted Kevin Frazier on a first-degree felony charge of murder and a second-degree felony charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. First-degree murder in Texas carries a sentence of 5 to 99 years or life in prison. Kevin Frazier, if convicted, would likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. In the hours and days after Destiney's murder, her family struggled to make sense of what happened. Her sister, Demetria Fifi, who lived in Georgia, revealed something heartbreaking. The last time she spoke with one of her younger sisters, it was moments before she was gunned down at her home in Copperas Cove. Demetria was on the phone with Destiney, maybe just a normal sister call, checking in, chatting about life when it happened. Did she hear the argument escalate? Did she hear Kevin's voice getting louder, angrier? Did Destiney say something that made her worry? We don't know. But Demetria carries the weight of that final conversation for the rest of her life. Destiney's 8-year-old daughter, Desiree, spoke to reporters, trying to process the loss of her mother. She said Destiney was inspirational, full of life, always wanting to help others succeed. 6 children lost their mother that day. 6 kids who'd watched her grind, watched her build businesses, watched her model clothes on Facebook Live, watched her nurse patients and come home exhausted but fulfilled. And now they'd have to grow up without her. They'd have to finish school, graduate, get jobs, get married, have children, all without their mother there to see it. Destiney also left behind a grandchild. At 33, she was already a grandmother, meaning at least one of her older children had started their own family. That grandchild will grow up hearing stories about Grandma Destiney but never knowing her. On Tuesday, April 12th, 5 days after the murder, a memorial was placed outside High Sadidi Boutique in Killeen. The door to the boutique was locked. The shop that Destiney had poured her heart into, that represented her entrepreneurial spirit and hustle, now stood silent. No more Facebook Lives, no more customers trying on outfits. No more Destiney modeling new inventory with that laugh that lit up every room. Just flowers, candles, and tributes from a community mourning a woman taken far too soon. Here's what we know about why Kevin Frazier murdered Destiney Carey. She was successful. 2 thriving businesses, a 3rd location about to open in Dallas, a nursing career, financial independence. She didn't need him. When a woman can support herself and her 6 children without a man's income, she has options. She can leave. And that terrified Kevin. She was planning something. That Facebook post on April 7th, "Stop letting people have so much power over you," suggests Destiney was mentally preparing to take back control of her life. Maybe she was planning to leave Kevin. Maybe she'd already told him it was over. He had a history of violence. The 2010 arrests for assault and violating protective orders show this wasn't Kevin's first time being violent with a romantic partner. This was a pattern. He couldn't control her anymore. Men like Kevin Frazier don't kill because they love too much. They kill because they can't stand losing control. When Destiney's success made her independent, when her plans didn't include him, when she stopped being someone he could dominate, he killed her. Destiney's family believed Kevin was jealous of her success. He was a military veteran with an honorable career, but she was the one building something. She was the one with businesses expanding. She was the one people celebrated and admired. And Kevin couldn't handle being in his wife's shadow. There's a particularly cruel irony in this case. Destiney was shot while police were literally breaking down the door to save her. If that 911 call had come 2 minutes earlier, if the officer had arrived 30 seconds faster, if Kevin had been just a little slower pulling the trigger, Destiney might have lived. But Kevin knew police were coming. He heard them knocking. He told them to wait. And then he shot Destiney anyway, because for him, it was more important that she die than that he face consequences. He shot at a police officer. He was willing to kill law enforcement to complete his murder. That's not a crime of passion. That's not losing control. That's calculated evil. In the days following Destiney's death, the Killeen and Copperas Cove communities came together to mourn. People who'd shopped at High Sadidi Boutique shared memories on social media. Models who'd worn Destiney's designs posted tributes. Customers who'd watched her Facebook Lives talked about how her energy and joy made them smile. Destiney had built more than businesses, she'd built community. She'd created spaces where women felt beautiful, confident, celebrated. She'd used her platform to lift others up, to showcase local talent, to prove that a black woman from Texas could build an empire. And now, that empire stood without its queen. Her family held memorials. They shared photos. They told stories about Destiney's laugh, her work ethic, her devotion to her 6 children. They also raised awareness about domestic violence. Because Destiney's story isn't unique. Every day in America, women are killed by intimate partners, husbands, boyfriends, exes who can't accept rejection or independence. What makes Destiney's case particularly haunting is how successful she was. She wasn't trapped financially. She had options. She was building something. But abusers don't let go just because you're successful. Sometimes, your success makes you a bigger target. Because if you're independent, if you're powerful, if you don't need them, how will they control you? Kevin Frazier's answer was murder. As of the last public records, Kevin Frazier, 37, was being held in the Coryell County Jail in lieu of bonds totaling $275,000. Wait, $275,000? Didn't his original bond total $1.75 million? That's correct. His initial bonds were $1 million for murder and $750,000 for assault. But court records from June 2022 show his total bond at $275,000, suggesting either a bond reduction or a reporting discrepancy. Regardless, Kevin Frazier remains in custody, awaiting trial for first-degree murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. If convicted of first-degree murder in Texas, he faces 5 to 99 years or life in prison. Given the circumstances, shooting his wife while police broke down the door, shooting at a police officer, inconsistent statements, his prior history of violence, a jury is unlikely to show mercy. Kevin Frazier will likely spend the rest of his life in prison. He'll die behind bars, decades from now, his name forgotten except as a footnote in Destiney's story. And Destiney? Her legacy lives on in her 6 children, in the businesses she built, in the community she created, in the women she inspired to chase their dreams and build something of their own. High Saturday Boutique may have closed after her death, but what Destiney represented: Black entrepreneurship, female independence, hustling for your family that can never be killed. April 7th, 2022, 12:25 p.m. Destiney Jasmine Carey called 911. Police heard screaming. They raced to save her. An officer knocked on the door. Kevin Frazier told him to wait. The officer kicked the door open, and Kevin shot Destiney anyway. 33 years old, mother of 6, nurse, business owner, entrepreneur with a 3rd location about to open in Dallas. Murdered by a man who couldn't handle her success. If you're in an abusive relationship, National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Text START to 88788. If someone's success makes their partner angry or jealous, that's abuse. If someone tries to control your money, your business, your independence, that's abuse. If someone would rather kill you than see you leave, get out before it's too late. Destiney Carey didn't get that chance. Police were seconds away, but seconds weren't enough. Rest in power, Destiney. Your hustle, your joy, your light lives on in your children and everyone you inspired.